know it's going to eventually just fall. It's not going to try to find a way this is going to work. That might work. There's got to be a way this is going to work. Got to sit up here somehow. That might work. Can't nothing work the way you want it to. That's just life. But anyway, that might work. That might work for a couple minutes at least. I don't want to be like this low, but I can't really. It's as high as I can get. Sorry, man. This. Yeah, of course not. And all messages. I'm trying to get this to sit somewhere. It might actually work. See, that's not gonna work. That's not gonna work. I need to put it somewhere. There we go. How you doing? Sorry, it took me like 5 minutes to figure out where I was going to put the phone. I don't know. Hanging out, man. We're getting through another day, man. Another day. We're out here. How you doing? Welcome in. Just hanging out. Got a 2007 Toyota Corolla. Pretty much I've been living in since September. If it's your first time, see you later. Get the fuck out of here, dick bag. I was hoping it was going to be a pretty good day. I don't know. I didn't feel like doing much today. Good. Made $15 on one order, but it was because Uber decided to actually pay. So, yeah, we're chilling. We're hanging out. But yeah, I feel like the YouTube algorithm, man, it tries to hide me because of the smoking. Like, it's not even really the cursing. I think it's the smoking. Because the cursing, they understand, you know what I mean? It's just part of you, self-expression. You know what I mean? It's people choose to express themselves differently. You know what I mean? I don't know. But I think, yeah, the smoking is, like, really, like, the number one thing that they're, like, they're really against. Now, granted, there is some channels where the dude will be openly smoking, you know what I mean, or doing this and that, but it's just part of that channel, you know what I mean? But I know there's these dudes I watch, they do like a weed podcast, and they're like struggling, man. They put a lot of work into this podcast, they really do, and yeah, I don't know, man. Like, if they show any kind of like weed or depictions of them smoking weed, the algorithm tries to hide it and puts it under everything, and I don't know. Just something they just I don't know. They just don't like smoking. But yeah, we're hanging out, man. I thought somebody might pop in and chill with me for a minute. Still trying to figure out like the best time of day to actually go live. You know what I mean? The best, I don't know. I'm pretty much just going. I go live just for bored, just because I'm boredom. I do kind of. I don't like it like in this format. You know what I mean? I'll be honest with you. I don't like this format. I would rather, I'd rather the camera be this way. It's just more comfortable to me to hold my phone. I don't know. I don't know. I guess I'm just used to holding it horizontally. I don't know. Well, how you doing, man? Is it the shirt? It's the shirt. Everybody you coming in, and then the shirt you leaving. I don't know. I don't know if it's better to like continue talking. Is it better to continue talking and then when someone comes in, I'm not just sitting here doing like absolutely nothing. I'm actually talking, or is it better for me to like say, just go ahead and save my energy for when it actually shows me that somebody's in here? I don't know. So I feel like at least if I'm talking, it like if the algorithm sees me talking, or hears me talk, I don't know. I don't know how it even actually fucking works, to be honest with you. But yeah, like if you're honestly if you're doing more, it's gonna send you out to more people. You know what I mean? But man, not a lot I can do. Just being broke, living in my fucking car. You know. And not that I'm broke, but you know what I mean. I don't know. I'm trying to save like super duper aggressively. Um, yeah, man. Like not that like I said, it's like not that I am broke, but I might as well be. It's just the nature of it. It's kind of stupid. But yeah, I'm thinking about getting a whole nother phone. I wish the live streams would kick off just a little bit more, but I don't know. Like I said, I guess the algorithm doesn't like me. But man, so I've been live for about 8 minutes now, waiting to see if somebody's gonna show up. I understand, you know what I mean. I get it, but yeah, man, I can see if somebody wants to hang out with me for a minute, shoot the shit. Going on 10 minutes. 10 minutes have been live now. I don't know. I guess nobody's coming. It's cool. I wonder if this has got to be a black lighter. I was wondering if it was like a black lighter and then they painted it, or if it wasn't even a black lighter and they just put, they painted the black, they printed the black onto it or something. But yeah, it's not a bad lighter, man. How you doing? Man, what a slow Thursday, man. Sitting here just burning gas. Got the fucking car running. Need an oil change. I guess I should just break down and buy a jack. I don't know. I could even just buy a jack. I don't know. I feel like I could just buy a jack and use it for what I need and then just return it. I don't know, man. Now, I thought the channel was going to take off a little bit more. I mean, it is kind of taking off, but it'd be nice to have like 3 viewers right now rather than me just sitting here like, is anybody gonna show up? Like, you know, like a 10-year-old at their birthday party who gave out like 40 invitations or some shit. How you doing, Jerry? How's your day been? Pretty much only got one order done myself. I mean, I started real late. I stayed up real late. You know, stayed up till about 6 a.m. Didn't wake back up till about noon. I did get one order in, but the lunch rush ended, so I figured, this is my area. It's just like dead times a day. You know what I mean? It's dead from now until about 4:30. So I figured I'd do the afternoon live chat. Yeah, man. Okay, I went to a walk now at pond behind my house, watching people fish. Hell yeah. It's a pond, like it's not a lake. It's a pond. Because like if it's a pond and people are fishing, that's a pretty big pond. I'm not trying to correct your English. I'm just asking. You know what I mean? Trying to get an idea of how big the body of water is. Because to me, like a pond is like in someone's yard. You know, someone has a pond in their yard. A lake is like houses up on it. You know what I mean? Lakefront houses. I don't know. There probably technically is some kind of like volume measure. You know what I mean? Where it's like, oh yeah, well, a pond is anything smaller than 1,000,000 gallons of water. You know, or something like that. I don't know, man. Just hanging out, man. Like I said, I'm seriously thinking about getting a second phone, just to be doing a live stream the entire time that I am doing the Uber driving. I could believe that. I mean, I don't think it's an American thing. I think it's like a worldwide thing. Because you got to think it's 2026 and there's still a lot of places that they're still tribal. You know what I mean? They'll go to war with each other and then eat the loser. You know what I mean? That still is going on. You know what I mean? So you got to think they probably don't know how to read. You know what I mean? They probably don't even have written. They might have some written stuff, but you know what I mean? There's probably only one person in the village that can even read the written. You know what I mean? But yeah, I would believe it. And then you got to think the majority of America is like people running away from every other country too. You know what I mean? So you don't really get the best, because if your life is good in Ireland, there's no reason to move to America, or it's like, so it's like, we're like we're mutts that are made out of the world's rejects, pretty much. You know what I mean? So like, of course, we're gonna be illiterate. You know, to be honest with you, I knew what a dollar was before I knew what the ABCs were. Any other developed country, we are dead last. I wouldn't say that. I think if you've ever played any kind of like MMO, any kind of MMO game that has like borders, people fighting over borders and different nations, and you know what I mean. There's always like a non-aggression pact. Like the top 10 countries, they have a non-aggression pact with each other, unless something really really big happens. But like if you're in a top 10 country, you can't attack another top 10 country, and unless you have the four of the top 10 of you have three other people that are willing to back you up on that attack. You know what I mean? And at that point, it becomes a world war, basically. I bet something like that basically exists in the real world too, because where did that come from? You know what I mean? And it's crazy. There'll be like a non-aggression pact between the top 10 countries, and there'll be like a non-aggression pact between the top three countries. That's set, like a whole other pact, a whole other, you know what I mean? The top three countries have their own little agreements that they work on to keep themselves in the top three, and the people in the top 10, they're all just kind of like, the other seven people, they're all just kind of like, yes, at least I'm here, you know. But yeah, I feel like it's very similar to that. I bet. You know what I mean? Because we can't, us as USA, we can't go to war with everybody. That's why we picked Iran to bully. You know what I mean? Same thing with Russia. They can't just go to war with anybody. That's why they picked Ukraine to bully. You know what I mean? But yeah, like yeah, if Ukraine was like a top 10 country, I don't know if Russia would even be able to actually attack them the way that they did. I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't know enough about what's actually. I just know that they're fighting each other again. Because Russia is not big enough in landmass yet, so they need more square miles in Russia apparently. You know. Yeah. Cuba's next. That's what I've heard too. Like some people are praying for it over there in Cuba though. Like I think the way that we went in to visit Venezuela, they're praying that we go into Cuba and do the same thing. But we've already a certain amount of things have already changed in Cuba as well. But yeah, man, that whole place is like it looks like Florida after a hurricane. Cuba, to me. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I saw a sign. I was in the Wendy's, and they had a sign on the wall. It said, max of 30 minutes allowed to eat your food after purchasing. And I'm like, wow. I'm like, they're really gonna time you at a Wendy's. You know what I mean? And I noticed they had like a whole bunch of light sockets. Like where you could plug in a laptop, or it almost looked like a Starbucks. As much electricity as there was for the guests to use. Um, but yeah, I just thought that was funny. I'm like, they have a sign on the wall that says you can't stay for more than 30 minutes. You know what I mean? So like they're basically charging you rent. You know what I mean? Yeah, you get a meal out of it too, but like, I don't know, it's like, wow. It's like, if I could, could you imagine you go to a restaurant, and you have to pay to rent the table for an hour? But like, instead of tipping though, like in place, instead of tipping, you just pay to rent the table for an hour plus the cost of food, and then the table rent is what the server get. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's like, could you imagine though? They're like, oh, it's $10 to rent a booth, $10 for a table and $10 for a booth or some shit. Yeah, are there any good movies out? I haven't seen any. I bought this movie pass. I got unlimited movies for the next 6 months. Had just paid like $150 up front, and I got all the movies I can go watch. But the movies that they ain't fucking nothing I'm wanting to go see, man. Like honestly, it's fucking Super Mario Galaxy is really like the best movie out right now. It's crazy. Yeah, it's like, now I have the possibility to apply for Israel citizenship, possibly get free flight and free housing. You think I should try? I would say it's worth it. I mean, if anybody's coming along and offering you something better than what you already currently have, you should always go on. Always jump on it. If somebody comes, if you somebody's offering you like a living situation, especially, and if you feel like in your heart it's the better move, but your mind is telling you no, you know what I mean? I would go for it. Um, but that's just me. I don't know. I don't know, man. It's gonna be probably a couple of years, man. I gotta basically that's my retirement plan. I'll get to the point where I've got enough savings, you know what I mean, that I could just go do the trail for the next 20 years. You know what I mean? That's pretty much it. Just go do the drill, up down, up down, up down, up down, up down, up down, up down. Just like just out of boredom. But yeah, like have like a monthly allowance. I need a certain amount I'd be able to withdraw each month to kind of keep paying for food and stuff while I'm on the trail. But yeah, I figure like 200 a week got to be fine. You know what I mean? $200 a week in food, that's a lot of food for one person. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't know. Like, granted, I couldn't go to Waffle House, like all the time. But at it, oh, sorry. Like, in terms of oatmeal, $200 a week would be a lot of fucking oatmeal. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's like I do really want to go do the trail, and I don't know. Part of me is like, once I get out there, I don't know if I want to come back to society. You know what I mean? Just people running around in circles trying to pay for their car and their house and food all at the same time. You know what I mean? Because we have too much, man. Like there was a guy pointing out, he's like, like households in the 50s, even if they were doing good, a good upper class, or well, maybe let's say upper middle class household, the family had one vehicle, but you were doing good. Say you had two television sets and an automobile, you were fucking balling. You know what I mean? Nowadays, there's houses I see. There's like fucking 6, 7 cars. You know what I mean? Granted, some of them might be broke down junk cars or whatever. You know what I mean? But like let's say they have four vehicles that transport people to work, rather than them all just all in everybody's just all in the car going to work. You know. But also, like in the 50s and 60s, the wife wouldn't have had to work yet either. So I don't know. So yeah, you only really would have needed one automobile, because it's not like you had to carpool with your wife to bring her to work too, and then go to work yourself. No, I don't know. Not every household, but yeah, we've got a bunch bunch of shit. Drive me up the trail while I hike. Pay you to drive me up the trail while I hike. I don't know. I had to buy a lawnmower, $300. Self-propelled at least. Shoo-wee. Like, I know it wasn't a riding lawnmower for $300 unless you got like a deal at a garage sale. Something. Somebody was just trying to get it out of the yard. Not even self-propelled. Wow. Was it was it good brand at least? 300. It's one of those Ryobi ones, isn't it? Where you just put the batteries in it. The cheapest they had. The cheapest they had was $300. Holy shit. I think last lawnmower I bought was just like a cheapo depot, like 5 horsepower engine, 22-inch cut. I got it from Walmart for like $85, I want to say. That was a couple years ago. Yeah. Yeah, I pissed a dude off yesterday. I was in another live stream talking, and they asked about gas prices, and I was like, yeah, I think they're honestly underpriced, to be honest, you know. And they were like, what? Underpriced? It's high enough. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm like, honestly, think like you remember where gas prices were in 2005? They were at the same level that they are now. So like in 20 years' time, like whatever the fuck was going on while Bush was in office, right? In 20 years' time, gas didn't even actually inflate. It just went back to the price it was. You know what I mean? I was like, I feel like it should honestly be about like $8, maybe $9, $10 a gallon now, just based off of how much ground beef has gone up. You know what I mean? How is a gallon of oil? I get it, you know what I mean, but how does a gallon of oil cost less than a pound of ground beef? Sort of, kind of, you know what I mean? The two should, I mean, granted, they're two different worlds, you know what I mean? But I don't know, I don't know. You know, how does a pound of ground beef tripled, but gas is only, gas only doubled, maybe? It doesn't even, I wouldn't even say necessarily doubled. But, like the first time Trump was in office, it was a lot of places, it was like under 250, right? And then Biden came in, and then it went up like about 70, 80 cents the whole time he was in office, about a whole dollar some places. And then Trump came back, and then it still didn't go back down to where it was when he was in there the first time, but it went down from where Biden was, you know. And then, yeah, and then this shit happens, and, I still feel like it's kind of underpriced, to be honest with you. It's only really like 20 cents more than it was when Biden was in office, and then we're like at war of like a quarter or a third of the world's oil supply is being blocked and shit. You know what I mean? I don't know. No, I don't assume to be any kind of an intelligence. I believe that our star was created by, whether it was God or something outside of our own terraformance. You know what I mean? I still feel like our star was created. Um, and like people want to say, oh, we're stardust, technically, because the accumulation of the atoms and all that, after when the star was created, and I don't know, you know what I mean. I do believe the star was created. That didn't just happen. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like there was an outside force that created that light. You know what I mean? But yeah, at the same time, it's kind of crazy. Like, how much we're just fighting, like how many wars we fought over what book that we read, what it has to say about the portrayance of God, or whoever is God, whatever God may be. You know what I mean? But it was written down in a book, and then we read it, and then we created our own interpretation in our head based off of reading the text in a book, and then we went to war with each other, and then we've been fighting each other for X of hundreds of years, thousands of years, and we won't just like grow up and like just stop. You know what I mean? Because like we see, like we can't just like respect each other for believing in whatever we want to believe. You know what I mean? How you doing, Roland? But yeah, like if we're not fighting over religion, we're fighting over gold, and if we're not fighting over gold and religion, we're fighting over landmass. You know, it's just kind of stupid. Like I get in a sense, like the us fighting each other is kind of like boosts the economy, I guess, in a way. So maybe that's why we continue to fight each other, because it helps us keep trying to like turn the crank on what's going to happen next. You know what I mean? Because if the world was in peace, there ultimately it'd be a lot less going on. You'd think. You know what I mean? It'd be more boring a place. Who knows? I don't know. If we were in like complete peace, you know what I mean? So they probably, I don't know, they add the chaos basically to help improve. The technology goes faster because them introducing chaos into the world every now and then. That's probably exactly why. Yeah, it's not doing too bad, man. It's like, because you got to think like we're at war. We're at war right now, and Bitcoin's like kind of holding where it's at. Basically since the Epstein bullshit, and Epstein might have made Bitcoin, and that made whether it was actually related to that or not. It's kind of funny how that almost affected the price more than the U.S. and Iran going to war with each other, at least at this point, right? Because like we've been at war with Iran probably, what do you want to say, like the whole month of March at least. You know what I mean? Whenever the bombings, the bombs were, we've been at war with them, and then Bitcoin's kind of like remained stable. Like it's crashed because of the Epstein bullshit. Or like that's the way that they've tried to portray it, at least. Maybe it was because the U.S. Iran war, and then they used the Epstein. They just timed it a little bit. Timed it out of here and it timed it off of one topic and onto another. But I don't know. Yeah, 48% crash from the all-time high, and honestly, I feel like now is pretty much a good time to buy in. You know what I mean? Like it's not the best. Like if you've been in from before, then yeah, you're good. You know what I mean? But it's currently like it's creating a bottom, right? I feel like it's creating a bottom on the chart. It's about to spring back the other way. And it's crazy that the bottom that it's creating right now is the peak of 2021. So like the peak back in I think it was May or April of 2021. The new bottom is now where that peak was, pretty much, and then I don't think it'll ever come back down underneath that. At least I'm hoping. But yeah, I think it's honestly going to a million, because it's just mathematically impossible for it to not go to a million. And then after that, who knows? It's all a matter of how much people trust it versus their own nation's currency. You know what I mean? Would you trust a global currency over your own nation's currency? Basically, what it's going to boil down to. Because yeah, I don't know, global currency that can't be debased, they can't suddenly double the amount that are in circulation, versus your national currency, where if they would decide they want to go to war, they can just they just print, and then double the amount of money that they had because they printed more, and then add a zero to everything, that the stuff, everything you want to go buy, they're gonna add a zero to, and then you pay for it, and then it just, I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. The whole part of it, people don't actually see that side. Like it's a global currency. It's a currency that exists globally. It's a currency without borders behind it. And on the other side, you have all these different national currencies where the nation itself decides what it's actually worth. So what is your time worth? It's only worth what, it's only worth what that nation decides to pay you with, pay you in. Why is, depending on whatever country you're in, why is you can be an engineer in Cuba and then be only be looking at like $300 a month to be an engineer in Cuba, right? I can be an Uber driver and easily make 300 a week, just delivering food. You know what I mean? So I don't understand why that part is so fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like if you're an engineer, you should be paid like an engineer, regardless of, you know what I mean, whatever nation you're in. I can see some nations, I don't know. Some nations can't pay you the same. You know what I mean? But I don't know why there's that much of a difference in the value of someone's time, especially somebody that has like an engineering degree. You know what I mean? From nation to nation, why is there such a difference in the value of that man's time? You know what I mean? It's just fucked up. But yeah. But yeah, I think where Bitcoin is now, I don't think it's going to go down any further. I feel like it's creating the bottom where it's at now. It could, but it would take, as much money as Michael Saylor has been throwing into it, and there's 5% of the network will never be sold because it's in Satoshi's wallet. So it was at 100K. It'll never go under 5K because 5% of the network will never be sold. So it's going to stay over 5K. You know what I mean? If it goes down from here, it's maybe will go down to 30, but I don't see it going back down to 30. This gonna be a lot of withdrawal from where we're already currently at. What game is this? It's Bitcoin, man. The world's greatest MMORPG. It exists in the real world. It's not an internet. Well, it's not a video game currency. But it's an internet currency. Like if you were going to put a value on the internet, like how much would the technology of the internet itself be worth? You can't, you know what I mean? Like how do you put a value on that? It's like it's infinite. The infinite level of possibilities that there are within the internet itself, and the change it's made to commerce so far. You know what I mean? And they tried to tell people like, computers are going to be everywhere. They're going to, they're going to be part. You're not going to be able to work without using a computer. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of old people. They didn't even buy into it. They never even learned how to type because they didn't think the computer was going to take off as well as it did. You know what I mean? Warren Buffett, I guarantee you, he probably does not even know how to type. He probably didn't know how to type 20 years ago. You know what I mean? Because it's not even, I'm not saying it's an age thing, like, well, he's 90. You know what I mean? Of course he can't type, but granted, yeah, when he was like 65, he probably was so above and, you know what I mean? So out of the loop that he never even had to send an email. He probably had somebody else that did that for him. You know what I mean? So you can't really listen to Warren Buffett when he talks about an electric currency because he don't even know how to send electric mail. But yeah, it's the step from the paper currency world that we are in now to like an actual electrified currency that's based on the amount of power it takes to produce it. But I'll stop now because I know Jerry doesn't want to hear 3 hours of this. I was thinking about, you said 100 miles a day on your car. That yeah. And then yeah, I mean where I'm at, that's about, I mean, by the time I run 15 deliveries. I'm gonna say 15 deliveries is 100 miles on the car, one way or another. You know what I mean? I don't run 15 deliveries every day. That's kind of why I came out to the small town, because like I might have to reject some orders. There's some bullshit that comes through, but the majority of the time in here in the small town, everything's over $10. So you can just hit reject on anything that's not $10. Just hit reject. I had one that came in earlier. They wanted to give me $8 for it, and I was like, it's not quite worth, because I'm like, what if there's some bullshit at the restaurant? And I know the guy lived on a dirt fucking road. It was going to be like 3 miles of dirt road travel to get to the door. You know what I mean? And so I was like, it's not really worth $8. And then it pinged back through for 15, and I was like, okay, cool. 15, that's, yeah. You just basically just doubled the money for me to take it, And I also feel like there's fewer drivers in this town too, because of how slow it is. But like I think there might be 5, because there's a lot of people, they do drive, but they'll drive for DoorDash. Everybody thinks that DoorDash is better, which I can understand. Like if you're like you're trying to make $300 a day doing it, DoorDash might be the better place. But for me, I'd rather have it be a more relaxing day. I don't DoorDash just everything ping 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 all the time. Just you log on and they're trying to like instantly be feeding you offers. You know what I mean? Because it's that much busier. Whereas Uber Eats is kind of like the overflow from that. You know what I mean? People think Uber is a taxi. Uber's a taxi and DoorDash is for food. You know what I mean? Just most of the time. And then like you'll maybe somebody that's smart enough, savvy enough, the time on DoorDash, it's like, oh man, it's gonna be 3 hours to get a towel, and they'll go over to Uber and see that it only takes an hour, and they'll order from Uber. You know what I mean? That's, I think, where Uber does get customers off of that. But yeah, for me, I would rather have a chiller, more relaxing day on Uber than being on DoorDash and it wants to send me orders nonstop, and I've got like a 25% acceptance rate. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's slower. You got to take the good with the bad. And then the Uber app itself, I feel like, is easier to navigate. DoorDash, they want all these extra pictures. You got to take a picture of the food at the store. Uber, I don't know. There's other options. Like there is other options even on DoorDash. You can hand it directly to me. You can, I don't know. But yeah. Uber I don't know, I feel like they got rid of some of the unnecessary fluff, I guess. The support sucks. You know what I mean? They're there. There's people that they pay to be a support team, so I guess it's better than reaching out to support and you just can't flat out not even get a human on the other side at all. You know what I mean? The support bot wants to send you to its manager bot, and then you're talking to one robot that, I don't, it's like, yeah, you can't actually get through the system to talk to a person sometimes, but not, like Uber, at least, yeah, they at least have a team. They just don't have a lot of actual power as support, because like there's a lot of things that's like just locked into the app. It's like part of the algorithm of the algebra of the app itself. It just can't, they can't override everything. But yeah. But yeah, I don't know, like, it's crazy. I don't know. Every time you call support though, for any company that you call and reach out to customer support, it's like it's always somebody in India. Every company's support team is based in India. That's, I don't know. It'd be cool if there was more telephone jobs here in America. You know what I mean? They want to talk about how lazy we are. It's like, well, fucking, you don't see them over there for 8-10 hours a day, just at a desk calling people all fucking day, and you want me to cook how many burgers an hour? It's like, fucking what? It's like, you want me to flip how many pizzas an hour? Like, fuck, I like, we used to do 30 a day and make some money. My grandfather's shop, fucking, 30 pizzas a day was a lot. That was a lot. We were making 30 pizzas in a day. You know, I've been at pizza shops, they expect me to stretch 100 fucking pizzas an hour. You know, I'm like, what the fuck, man? And they're not even paying you anything for it, you know? The fucking, 100 pizzas sold at even just $10 each. That's $1,000 an hour income minus product. But that's what I'm saying, $10 each because they're probably charging 20, and then half of that is not profit. So yeah, so you get $10 a pizza, selling it for 20, and then you got the guy that's stretching the dough, stretching, wanting, you want him to stretch 100 fucking an hour. You know what I mean? Yeah, on a Friday night, if there's one pizza shop I was at, we'd make fucking 500, 600, 700 pizzas on a Friday, Saturday night. You know what I mean? Or at least across the day, across the whole day on a Saturday, we could make 700, maybe 1,000 pizzas. Yeah. Yeah, man, I bought some. I got about 700 of them. I seen a dude last night, and he's like, yeah, I got some. He pulls out, he pulls out his phone to show me. He had like 200,000 Shiba, like 200. I'm not trying to rag on him too much. He don't know yet. He knew enough to kind of put a dollar on it. He had like 18 Dogecoin and 200 like 38,000 Shiba. And I was like, yeah, man, that's cool. I'm like, you ought to go ahead and get you like 10 million Shiba though. And he's like, what? I'm like, yeah, it's only like $70. If you were to buy it right now, $70 for 10 million Shiba, and if it does go to a penny, you have 10 million pennies. And his eyes kind of lit up, and I was like, I'm like, that's the point. I'm like, for $70 today, you could potentially have 10 million fucking pennies. And then, it's gambling just like anything else, like buying a scratch off, but the fuck, how many people haven't bought a $20 scratch off at some point in their life? You know, it's the same thing, but with compounding and exponential growth built into the electronics that are already in place around us on Earth. And I don't think they're going to get any smaller. You know what I mean? It's only going to become more widely accepted. I'm surprised more stores aren't refusing the dollar already. It must be, it's part of, you know what I mean? It must be laws in place where they can't. That's probably what it is too. And we're all kind of like in a prison compound, just making tickets, and then everything has like a ticket value on it. We're just using the tickets that we're making, and I don't know. That's the way I see it, man. We're all like fucking 15th, 16th, or 17th generation fucking circus performers. Yeah, I mean, it's not that bad. It depends where you go. You know what I mean? Because some pizza shops, it is slow. You know what I mean? Like my grandfather's shop. Like we're 20 or 30 pizzas a day. And you gotta figure he was only probably making like $300 maybe. You know what I mean? It was slow. We're probably making barely enough to keep the shop open, to be honest with you. But it was free food too. You know what I mean? If you're a fan of pizza yourself, you got all the pizza you can want. You know what I mean? So, you gotta take that side of it. Like the business didn't make a whole lot of money, but I'm eating for free, so that's minus like $600 a month. But it did do well too, though. Like we were starting to, like, after a while it started to pop open. We'd get to the making like 100 pizzas on a Saturday kind of thing. The pizza's really cheap too at the same time, because it's just like flour and water, a little bit of tomato sauce. The cheese is the most expensive part. The cheese, just view it like it's gold. Like fucking only give them 8 ounces of cheese. Perfect fucking half ounce, like half pound of cheese, boom, on every pizza. I'm pretty sure there's already a pizza coin. Like Tim Allen, the tool guy, Tim Allen. He actually made Filecoin, believe it or not. Like Tim Allen, like Buzz Lightyear. He was behind Filecoin. Florida Swamp Coin. That might be a good, like, if I ever get to like point where I can like make merch and shit, I might make a t-shirt. It's like Florida Swamp Coin. And I can give away, I'll give people like a Florida Swamp coin, and then they can trade the coin to get a shirt for free, Oh shit. I thought it was a bee. Hell yeah. Appreciate it, man. But yeah, I'm currently homeless, man. I'm not trying to be forever. I've seen there's a pretty good niche of people. There's a lot of people that are like checking out DoorDash, because it's not, they're thinking about it, wanting to do it, this, that, and the other. A lot of people, they'll try to look up, how do I do it first before they do it. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people, doing what I'm doing, just videoing their door dashing, just to I'm kind of doing it more as like a video autobiography kind of thing. I don't, not that I really plan on living that as an impressive a life. You know what I mean? I plan on living with as minimal as possible if I can, to some extent. But at the same time, I don't think it's gonna be a bad story, like on a 20-year time horizon. If YouTube is still a thing for that long, I don't think it's going anywhere. YouTube is basically like, like when we used to have antenna TV, people that don't have cable TV, like YouTube is at least like that. It's gonna stay that, for a while. It's like PBS in a way. I don't know. Because everybody, PBS, they would stop and be like, you do a fundraiser and stuff, and there's a lot of YouTubers that's, stop and support the channel, it's because of you donating is what helps keep this show on the air, It's like TV just moved to our phones, you know what I mean? Well, not necessarily all the way, but. When's the last time you sat down and watched like the 10 o'clock news or the 11 o'clock news? You know what I mean? Jerry's gonna be like, yesterday. Right, that's where I'm at too. Like, it is very freeing to not have to worry about chasing down $1,000 just to pay for my house. You know what I mean? Like, if I want to go chase down $1,000, it's because I want to go chase down $1,000. You know what I mean? And right now, I'm trying to get a piece of land, so it's not that hard for me to like want to go chase some money around. But like once I get the land and get that paid off, I'll kind of fizzle down. Like just cut what I'm doing now in half, basically. I don't see why not. But yeah. That's pretty much what I've been doing. I'm doing a live stream now. I don't really have an audience, so right now it's kind of more intimate. You know what I mean? It's more, we're actually getting to know each other. It's not just fucking 500 chats going crazy. But yeah, I'm not really into it for the tips. I'm into it for just producing the content in the first place and getting the views that get the ad. I'm wanting to get the stack of pennies, not really. Because the super chats, they're kind of a waste of y'all's money. Not necessarily, I'm not trying to say it like that, but like the super chats, I found out YouTube takes 30% of those. So if you're sending me 15, you're really only sending me 10. You know what I mean? And it's kind of fucked up. Why do they scoop their hand in and take 30% of your donations? You know, it's money that people were nice enough to donate to you. YouTube decides to take 30% of. So that's why I'm gonna tell y'all, don't. For the most part, if y'all do, then I can't fight it. You know what I mean? I need it. You know what I mean? But I'm not gonna be here, like, yeah, because why should YouTube get 30% of that? And they're basically making money off me the whole way by paying me pennies, on, I don't, you know what I mean? By the time I get to 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 watched hours, you know what I mean? The amount of ads that they've thrown at people to even get to that point, you know what I mean? And the amount of ads that they're going to continue to throw at people for me to make pennies off of it, yeah. And then make 30% of whatever y'all are nice enough to give. That's fucked up. But yeah. Today. Yeah, I ran one Uber Eats order, made $15 on it, and like I said, I'm pretty much just waiting because we got like another hour. Yeah, I got another hour till it'll start popping off again. I was supposed to go help this old man with some yard work today, but I don't know. Like I said, I stayed up till like 6 a.m. and then he wanted me to show up there at like 9:10, or something like that. So I just messaged him I messaged him at 7:30 to let him know, hey, I'm not coming. I can't do it. I didn't sleep well. You know what I mean? And he understood. You know what I mean? He got it for the most part. But yeah. Yeah, pretty much woke up because the fan I got, like, it works, man. It fucking, I'll sleep. I slept beautifully last night after staying up as late as I did, or this morning. I slept beautifully this morning, but like I woke up because the fan, it was getting so hot. The fan was just blowing hot air on me. I was like, fuck. The fan was like in direct sunlight, just blowing all that fucking hot air right on me. I'm like, oh god, time to get up. And I had to pee too, so popped out of the car in my underwear, pissed right there on the pavement. Walk around to the front seat and put my shirt and shorts back on. That's how you know it's a good, quiet neighborhood, though. When you can take a piss in the middle of the street, no one's gonna call the cops. Jill Quing. Educational Jill Quing. I'm not sure what Jill Quing is. Learn how to spell. But yeah, man. I would start collecting pennies from 2025. Collect any kind of penny you can find that's got 2025 on the date. Trying to keep it as nice as you can. I bet them bitches are going to be worth a lot of money. Not like as much as other pennies, but it's the final mint of a penny, How you doing, man? That's cool. I got Indian fans, man. Or I got, at least Indian people in the chat. That's cool. literally reaching on the other side of the globe. It's crazy. Technology is pretty cool. You know what I mean? Like a long haul. You know what I mean? Like we come a long way since 2001 and now, technology wise. You know what I mean? But that's all because of us developing into the computer so much too. That's pretty much what I've been doing since like September, man. Oh, I got this whole other jar I gotta bust open still. Finished off this one though. It's a nice jar too, man. I want to almost use it for something else. You know, because it's glass. It's like a glass jar. You know, glass. I might even put change in it or something. I don't know. I'll only scream for Jerry. Anyway. Ah! Ah! Because we come from the land of the ice and snow, where the cold winds wash and the hot springs blow. The hammer of the gods, driving the ships to new lands. Valhalla, I am calling. Sitting on the dock of the bay, watching the tide rolling. That's where I should have went, man. I drove right past the boat ramp. That last delivery, I had to drive past it, deliver it to where it was going. Drove past it again to get to where I am here. And I knew I was gonna like hang out for a couple hours. I wasn't gonna keep running, so I should have just been pulled up to the boat ramp. There's pretty good shade down there too, so it's like it's a little cooler because being waterfront, it's a river and shit. So you got like coastal air comes off the river, and in all the shade, it would have been so much cooler than where I'm sitting right now. Instead, I'm sitting here and I'm burning my fucking gas to run the AC in the car with the window cracked because I'm smoking. Yeah. At least there's nobody. I thought for sure there was somebody in that truck next to me. They were like sitting there for like a good 10 minutes or so. I was worried about them seeing me. But even still, I got my license. I got my pilot's license. It's not a big deal. They should have done that a long time ago, though. Like, marijuana is illegal unless you pay the state $500 a year. You know what I mean? They could have been doing. They could have been doing it for years. Marijuana is illegal unless you pay us $500 a year to smoke it. And boom, I'm like, all right, cool. $500 a year to stay out of jail, no problem. Hell yeah, man. We got now almost 4 o'clock. Got about 10 minutes till 4 o'clock here. Sitting back. A couple more gulps on the drink still. I try to just sip it, you know. I don't try to be gulping it. I try to, just take like 3 little sips and then swish it on your tongue a little bit, and so you know how to drink. It's like a Peter Family Guy. Like, you remember that time I forgot how to sit? He's a chair, and then he just runs and fucking belly flops on the chair, breaks it. How the fuck you forget how to sit? But yeah, if you can think of something, if you can think of an invention that could replace the cup, you could become a trillionaire. If you could think of something that can replace a cup, I mean, you could replace the cup. You'd replace the cup worldwide, multiple times a day, right? For some cases, if you could think of something that replaces the cup, you could easily become a trillionaire. Not billion, trillion. Probably multiple. It's as simple as that too, man. Something as simple as an idea that would replace the cup. But also the complexity of an idea that would replace a cup. The simplest thing. I had a buddy, he was thinking, like, I'm thinking of some kind of like a body modification. Just like it's a trap thing. You can suck your thumb, you have like a jelly bag. I was like, okay, so you mean like a CamelBak? One of the, like the water pouches that has a little hose? I was like, so I guess they already tried. Uh, just like, what the Yeah. Got an hour and 8 minutes live. Not bad, not bad. It's crazy how YouTube lets him have the name Dickhead -0. That's crazy. Like, it's supposed to be a family platform. Like, it's not like, it's not like Disney Tube. If it was DisneyTube.com, man, could you imagine? It'd be even worse. If Disney, they might have too. Disney might have made YouTube too, like in a master control kind of way. Because they say, a 33rd degree Freemason ultimately has the power to convince kings what to do throughout their life. But I don't think it probably doesn't take too much. It probably doesn't take too much to manipulate the mind of a king in the first place. But yeah, I was thinking about a stealth camp out here, right? I could get in there like anywhere, and then just go stealth camp, and especially like over back behind those propane tanks. I could probably just go, run back in there real quick late at night, and then only be there for about 6 hours. Basically, leave my car parked right where it's at. I was thinking, yeah, it might even be a cool title for the video and everything. $20 Walmart Survival Challenge in the woods behind Walmart. I mean, granted, it's my video, so it might make it to 200-300 views, but I think $20 Walmart Survival Challenge from in the woods behind Walmart, or get rid of the from. I don't know. All right, hey guys, tonight I'm stealth camping in the woods right behind this Walmart. But the trick is, I'm also going to run inside the Walmart real quick, buy a few items, and that's the only items I'm able to use for this camping trip. All right, here we go. Y'all ready? Just like... I don't know, man. I could see that. I could, maybe. I still think there'd be some Karens that would be like, no, that's not good enough. I don't know. But yeah, like a ball washer, like a golf course, or like a ball washer, but it's like for a cup to quick wash it real quick. I don't know. As I said, it's $1 trillion idea. It's $1 trillion idea. It's going to take a lot of thought. It's going to take a lot of thought to actually create something. That's not what I did. That's a little bit. That's good. Yeah, that might work. There we go. Yeah, it's a little better. Yeah. Appreciate you hanging out, man. But yeah, I gave you the moderator, you know what I mean? But as a moderator, don't just be timing people out for like anything, you know what I mean? Because like the channel's so small, if a troll comes in here, he wants to throw some troll comments, you know what I mean? I'll put them on for a little bit, you know what I mean? Because it's more comments in general for the chat at this point, you know what I mean? Like maybe once I break 1,000, then yeah, feel a little bit more free to, if somebody says something that's out of line, boom, mute them for 10 minutes. I don't know what FSM is. But anyway, yeah, but if but yeah, like if a troll pops in or anything, yeah, just let him troll for a little bit. If he gets to the point he's like directly offending you, then yeah, you got my permission. But if he's just trying to like bullshit on me, then I'll go with it for a minute. If he gets to the point, I'll I'll mute them, you know what I mean, or I'll hide them from channel, whatever, you know what I mean. I might block myself. I get that feeling. That's what I said to some people too. Like, once I make it to 1,000, you can unsub. I'll understand. It's just like until I get there, like, hang out with me. Just bear with it. Oh, okay. FSM. Yep. But yeah, I had somebody come in the chat last night. They're like, "Hey, I've been a long time subscriber for 5 days. Can I be a moderator?" And I was like, "Yeah, okay, yeah, sure, because you've been a long time subscriber." Like, I go look, they like literally just subscribed like 60 seconds before they spoke, and I'm like, "Yeah, so you're bullshitting me right off rip." You know what I mean? But I played with it a little bit because it's supposed to be a female, so I was like, yeah, well, I need a female moderator. All my mods are guys, and I want a female to kind of help balance, to kind of keep the justice scale going there. So I was like, yeah, I'll let you be moderator. And then I give them moderator, and they're like, can I be senior moderator? And I'm like, why does it, like, why does that really matter? And I don't know what all you can do as a senior level moderator. So I didn't give them that much permissions, you know what I mean? Because I don't know who the fuck, this is the first time they even came in my chat and said something. If, granted, if they had been subscribed for 5 days even, but it's like, it's just somebody bullshitting with me, so I don't know. But I can't unmoderate them until they chat in the chat again. Like, once they chat in the chat, I can like click on their name and then, you know. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah, you got to be a pretty like dark and twisted ass person, like hate, if somebody that steals from homeless people, you're a pretty fucked up person. You know what I mean? Granted, like, a hater is not a thief. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to say it like that. You know what I mean? But yeah, you're kind of like, I don't know. Like, I'm not saying that I don't like hate on homeless people myself, because there's a different type. You know what I mean? There's people that are people are on the street for any number of reasons. You know what I mean? But yeah, I don't know, man. I try to just avoid them myself, to be honest with you. I don't know. But yeah, I'm not saying I wouldn't give back. I don't know. But yeah, like, if you're just gonna, there's a homeless person on the side of the road and you give them $100 bill, you can probably guess what they're gonna spend half of it on. You know, if you were to, like, let's say you were gonna do it the other way, risk risk it. Like, okay, well, I'll put you up for a hotel for tonight. You know what I mean? But even to do that, you have to put your credit card on file, and the homeless person could destroy that fucking room. You know what I mean? The worst thing they could most likely do is not check out on time, and then you get charged with a second day or something. You know what I mean? But you would just plan for that anyway. You know what I mean? If you're willing to risk them just, being like, inviting all their crackhead friends up, and you got 12 people in the hotel room, and all the shit's fucking broke, and you're on the hook for $3,000 worth of furniture, in the hotel. You know what I mean? But yeah, so you basically, you can't give the homeless people money directly almost either, because you never know what they're going to do with it. You know what I mean? But what I could do maybe is I could buy like acreage of land where primitive living, I could just allow primitive living on this property, You know what I mean? Like just be like a free place for people that are homeless that can live there. I don't know, maybe something like that. You know what I mean? So like every city, they're trying to chase you away. This is 10 acres of land. You just find enough spot for your tent, and you're welcome to be here. You know, and pretty much they create their own little tribe pretty much, and they'd keep. You'd hope, kind of like Slab City. They kind of if somebody's like really really bad, they'll chase them out of the city. I don't know if you heard anything about Slab City, but you should check it out if you haven't. I'm almost thinking about heading out there, maybe for like a winter or something, but I don't think I'd be able to hang out during the summer. Because I halfway thought about it, getting a camper and just going out there, trying to figure out how to get water. But yeah, that heat, man, I'm not ready to quite do that. You know what I mean? I'd have to be more financially set up to even think about doing that. But I might just go check it out for a season. You know what I mean? Especially if the job's just fucking bullshit still. I don't know. But yeah, Slab City was like a military camp that they built out there. So they were supposed, they were doing like experiments, or not experiments, but training high heat areas. Like, so they had this whole area where they pretty much starved the men. They were dehydrating the men and having them exposed to extreme heat to try to, I don't know. They thought it was going to help them create thicker skin for extreme dehydration situations after their I don't know. But yeah, and so there's a bunch of concrete slabs left behind because the army, they were able to take their tents, but they the concrete's just stuck there, so that's why they call it Slab City. Um, but yeah, you can get good solar out there at least. Pretty sure you can get some good solar power out there. And then there's somebody out there, they I think has like a whole internet cafe that they made. Now, granted, it's in Slab City, so I think all they have is like coffee and probably like little Debbie snacks, but they have internet. You know what I mean? It's a spot where you can go and get Wi-Fi. It's like a Starbucks. You know what I mean? It's a Starbucks in Slab City. You know, um, I don't know, but yeah, like I've seen a couple videos on there where like somebody's like a serial killer on the run or something, or somebody's like a really bad fucking meth head or something. They'll chase them out. Like they're not gonna chase you out just because you're smoking meth. You know what I mean? Not that I am going to, or any ever, but you know what I mean. Like it's a free society kind of in that sense where if what you're doing over there at your place, that's none of my business. You know what I mean? But if you're bringing your shit over here into my space, then we're gonna have a council meeting, and we're gonna throw you out. If you don't want to leave, we will throw you out. If you still don't want to leave, we'll kill you. That's pretty much where it'll go. You know what I mean? But yeah, like that's even if it were to get that hostile. I'm sure it probably would at points. If I were to have a 10-acre piece of land and just let homeless people live on it, for free, I'm sure it's going to get hostile at certain points where that's, might end up being the case. It'd probably just be a slab city, but like in the woods somewhere. I don't know. But that would be cool though if somebody bought like, say somebody was able to buy like 100 acres of land, and then take 100 acres of land and then just allow people to build a house on that land for free. Like, right, like only take as much space as take as much space as you need, but don't take from your neighbor. If everybody could respect that premises, and then just go get like on this 100-acre land somewhere, and then build you a house, because it'd be free to build a house there, whatever kind of house you wanted to build there. I don't know, it'd be cool. The government would hate it. They really would. Like, you can't just have 1,000 people living in this 100 acres, You know, it's like, yeah, jumped up to 4 likes somehow. Man, but that was so crazy, man, seeing that the girl that I used to work with, she's like a fucking like a big YouTuber, not like big, but she's got like 18K subscribers. It's just it's fucking crazy because I look, looking at her and like walking past her, she's like a real quiet person, from what I knew, working, whatever. Never like actually talked to her either, you know what I mean? But I don't, it just kind of it surprised me that she's like on YouTube with this, semi big following, you know, like, I don't know. I was like, wow, it's just like, what the fuck? But yeah, because I started smoking a cigarette. But yeah, man, I'll get through it. Hell, I'm almost through the day already. And fucking even $15, even me making $15 already. I bought some lunch. I just haven't bought lunch yet. I don't know where I want to eat yet. I'm probably gonna go to McDonald's get a couple cheeseburgers. I already know. Oops, alright, be away. Yeah. Damn, where's my hair? Hour 28, man. Where we at? Hey, yo, Joe. What do you know? But yeah, it feels good, man. Big old booty. Hell yeah, man. No viewers. Just the way I like it. How you doing, man? I'm chilling, man. Trying to have, just hanging out. In between, it's that slow rush, slow point of the day. No orders on Uber right now. So just live streaming. I don't know if that's Jerry coming back. Uh, I don't blame you for leaving. There you go. See ya. Get the fuck out of here. Oh, sorry. Did you stay? Sorry. What did I say? Uh, but anyway, if you're new to the channel, popping in for the first time, Florida Swamp Monkey, living in a. Oh, okay, well, you get the fuck out of here then. Fuck out of here. Bye. See you later. probably about time to throw on the Uber app anyway. Get back out there and make another $20 at least. I don't know. Can't believe I made it to 0.1 fucking Bitcoin though, bro. Holy shit. It was a fucking struggle. God damn, I hope it does still pay out, man. Oh my god. I guess we're only at 4. Fucking hell. How you doing, man? Checking it out? Checking it out. How you doing, man? Getting through another day, man. It's your first time to the channel. Please subscribe, man. Help me out. I'm living in my car. Been living in the car since September. Trying to keep doing my thing, keep on the grind, keep the car running, moving, and trying to save up money at the same time. Get a place, piece of dirt at least. I don't need a whole house. Just need, a piece of property that's mine. But there you go. Go ahead and leave. The whole premises of the channel is like, okay, fuck it. Fuck that. How y'all doing? Welcome in. Yeah, Florida Swamp Monkey, currently living in my 2007 Corolla. I've been here since September. Hopefully, I'll at least have some land by September. So, I'll still be living in the car, but at least have a piece of property that's mine to park my car on. That's what I'm hoping. At least that's what the idea is. The plan is for now. And I don't know what'll become of that. If I do end up building on the land, whatever. I don't know. It's gonna take more cash flow than what I have, what I'm able to make, pretty much, to be able to build on the land. But yeah, I don't know. At this point, that's what the idea is. I'm just gonna try and get a piece of land, and it's my own private property. I don't have to worry about the cops chasing me off. If the cops show up, they can't tell me to leave. It's my property. You know what I mean? Like, where else to go? Where else? This is where I live. You know what I mean? I don't know. But yeah, the cops show up and tell me I need to get off my property. I'll just tell them the same. You need to get off. This is private property. You need to leave, sir. You know what I mean? Turned around in a world that keeps on dragging me down. Well, I'll stand my ground and I won't back down. I don't know. Anyway, I'm chilling out, man. I got the bowl still about half packed here. Waiting on this Dogecoin to be worth $20 a piece, you know what I mean? Alright, see ya. Get the fuck out of here. That'd be like $1 trillion market cap for Doge. I think would be okay. Sorry, get the fuck out of here then. Like damn, they don't even hang out long enough for me to realize that they're even hang out for 10 seconds and they're already gone. I don't even like sometimes I'm not even looking. I don't even see somebody even popped in. I don't know. I'm trying to save my energy. There you go. Get the fuck out. Save my energy trying to talk when people are actually here. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It's fucking stupid, man. And I really want to go this way. I want to go this way with it, but you can't get any viewers if you I don't know, for some reason you turn it this way, nobody watches it. You'll sit there, just like I have been for an hour, but I have like one view. This way I can at least get like 100 views, I don't know, whatever. It's stupid. Oh man. I wish I wasn't so fucking bored all the time, man. Not even really that I'm like bored, you know what I mean? Because like I do know how to meditate for the most part, so I just use the time, to meditate. Okay, get the fuck out of here. See you later. Yeah. It's probably about time to just go hit the road again. Do a little bit more for the day. How you doing, man? Is that still Jerry? Is that Jerry? I don't know. People keep popping in. They'll hang out for like 10 seconds and then they pop back out. So by the time I get going and start to talk to somebody, they're gone. So I don't know. Mostly I'm just trying to save my energy, for when it does show me that somebody's watching. I'm not just all talked out and I'm just sitting here like, I'm not trying to just ramble at the same time. But anyway, it's your first time checking me out. I don't know for sure. You haven't said nothing in the chat yet. I understand you have to wait a couple seconds before that. I tried to make it easy, but at the same time, I don't want just a bunch of like riff-raff comments coming through at the same time. You know what I mean? But yeah, currently homeless. I'm living in a Toyota Corolla, trying to save up, running around doing Uber. I got a job too that I do actually work. I was lucky enough I got thrown out. I was able to keep the job that I had. So I do have some kind of money that comes in from that. But the job itself, it sucks. It's just like any other fucking job. You know what I mean? It's not really something I really want to do. I just do it because it's money. You know what I mean? And then, not really, I don't know. But yeah, I do Uber on top of that because the way it is, the amount of hours that I'm getting, I've got to do something, besides just, because the hours I'm getting like $100 a week from the job, and so I need to use Uber to pick up like the loose ends from that, and even in living in the car, I've still got probably $500 or $600 a month in bills, between eating and the car insurance. I don't really factor in gas because I'm Uber driving. It just kind of comes out of the driving somehow or another. But yeah, just between the car insurance and eating, like I try to eat with like $10 a day or less, if possible. Some days I do splurge, and I'll spend like 17 or something or 13. You know what I mean? But if I can eat on $7, get through the day, that's cool because it's $3 left over. Whatever. But I try to budget it out like that, and then yeah, I can Uber. I got the bigger city I can go down. Like 20 miles away, go to the bigger city. And I can pretty much, it's not that loud, but I can get out there and I can make like easily $100 a day to run Uber. But it's a lot of traffic and bullshit to deal with, so I like delivering out here in the small town still. In a small town, people pay a little bit better, the tips are a little bit higher. You know what I mean? So you get a lot less orders. You can pretty much aim for like 50 a day instead of 100. You know what I mean? And granted, you're not making money as fast. You know what I mean? But it's a lot chiller, more much every order comes in, it's a double digit number. You know, whether it's $11 or $10.21. You know, it's just more flat out. You know, because I don't know, people out here in the small town, I feel like they appreciate it more. They're like, oh my God, somebody's really like, we can actually get food out here. You know, whereas in the city, they just expect it because they're in the city. You know what I mean? So here's $2. You know, but I don't know. You'll go just as far mileage wise. So that's where I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna be out here. I'll get $10 to go 12 miles instead of $4 to go 12 miles. You know, and then because the tips are generally better, I can just fish through the orders. You know, like if I do, I'm saying you do get fives and stuff like that out here, but I won't. I don't accept it depending on where the restaurant is, what restaurant it is, and which direction the order is. I'll take it if it's under 10. But yeah, it's got to be like 8 or 9 for me to really want it. You know what I mean? If it's 8 and it's a good run, yeah, I'll take it. You know, I'm making money on that, even if it takes me a half hour. You know what I mean? It's $8. You're not even really doing anything for the half hour. You know what I mean? Past the drive-in part, what are you really doing? You know, a couple footsteps here and there. But yeah. Well, I don't know what I said that they left, but I apologize. I hope it's not a connection thing. I was just trying to explain what the Uber driving's like out here. My bad. I didn't mean to offend. How you doing? Welcome in. Sorry, I was just sitting here. It was showing that nobody was watching anyway, so I don't know. I was just being quiet for a minute. I'm hanging out. About to log back in on the Uber app and see what I can find. But I make $15 on the day so far. So I mean, 15 bucks ain't bad. You know, it's like 10 for the tank and then $5 to eat with. But if I can go out and double that pretty easily. So I don't know. Like I said, I'm probably gonna log on. Ain't nothing happening here. Same as always. Well, I think that's all I'm doing is beating the shit out of my battery.